This is a Christmas ball, and if you light it like this and put it in the right spot, you can create something that looks like this. In macrophotography, the subject usually gets all the attention, but sometimes it's what's behind it that changes everything. Today, I'm trying something simple, using water drops, moss, even steel wool to shape the background with light. But here's the risk. If I get it wrong, the whole image falls apart. Every small shift in light can change the whole mood of the scene. All right, so now I want to play around a little bit with the intensity of the lighting, which is going to make the steel wool really pop and really create some interesting out of focus highlights. So I'm going to start off with the blue light and try to dial the correct intensity of the light. And here I want to be careful not to put too much blue light on the steel wool, not to overpower the background. So I think something just like that is perfect. And now I'm going to go with the orange light just to make a nice color contrast on the top left corner of the image, kind of mimicking the sun rays coming from this side. So maybe something just like that is fine. So for the last light, this one is responsible to highlight the side of the mushroom and really reveal the texture. So I'm going to play around a little bit and maybe something just like that will do. When you're playing with steel wool like that, I mean, it's not that easy because only moving the steel wool slightly makes a whole difference and change all the shape of the bokeh in the background. Bokeh, bokeh. I don't know how you pronounce it in English, but I'm gonna write it right there so you guys can see what I mean. And basically another thing I like is this light right here in the bottom. I'm gonna move it slightly so you can see. You see, without this light, the shot is pretty dull. And when you put it underneath the mushroom just like that, it should really change the mood of the shot. Maybe like that, it's a little too much. And you see if I push it a little further away, it's going to start to mess up with the background. So small movements like that really makes a huge difference. And my tip for you here is really to play around and try to see the light, because even if I tell you the right placement of the light, you're not going to be able to recreate it because each and every scene is different. So you got to keep attention and try to look where your light hits. And so for this one, I'm going to move it a little bit and maybe place it somewhere along these lines, I think. And I kind of did the same thing with the other light over here. I'm just going to mask it with my finger. So that's without the light and with the light. Without the light and with the light. And this one is responsible to really highlight the right side of the mushroom and make it stand out a little bit more. So basically that's pretty much what's going on with the lighting over here. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to focus tag the image because obviously I want the mushroom to be all in focus. I'm probably going to need about 70 images at f4, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to take two more stacks. One stack at f2.8 and another one at f8, just to show you the difference of how the aperture is going to affect the highlights in the background. I think f4 is the sweet spot for this one to really create a dreamy effect, but I want to see the difference at f8 and f2.8. And let me know in the comment which one you prefer. I'm going to put them side by side at the end of the video. It's crazy how something as simple as steel wool can shift the whole mood of an image. I'll compare all three shots at the end, but for now, I just want to find something to light in a different way. Yes, another mushroom. But for this one, I'm going to try something completely different. I'm going to try to use the moss in the background to create some interesting highlights and not use steel wool or aluminum foil or anything like that. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to guide you through step by step on how I go about composing the image, then putting some lighting around the subject and try to create something really interesting. All right, so I'm going to lower the tripod a little bit here and try to make the mushroom separate a little bit more from the background. And for this photo, I choose to photograph this side of the mushroom because the other side has probably been eaten by a slug or something like that. So as you can see in the background right here, my bag is not only going to help if the sun can come out, but also create a darker background, which I'm going to be able to work with a little bit later. And because I know I'm going to add up some artificial lighting on this one, I'm going to underexpose the shot by about 2 stops in order to make room to put some light in, something like that. I'm kind of struggling a little bit right now because I know the sun is about to come out and I'm kind of rushing things a little bit. I tried to create some highlights using leaves, moss, and different stuff, and it didn't quite work. So I think I'm going to keep looking until I find something that works. Kind of getting excited here because I put an orange light in the background and it did the whole trick. And I'm gonna put a little bit more moss on top of the light just to try to fill up the top of the frame. What I just did is close all the lighting except this one over here, and I'm gonna show you in real time the effect of every single light and why I put them where I put them. So I'll first start by lighting up the light in the background so you can see in real time what these are responsible for. So not only it kind of separate the subject from the background, but it also create nice highlights in the background. And after that, I put a ball of moss on top of the light just to fill up the top of the frame. And as you can see right now, on the top left corner of the frame, there's a darker spot, and I don't like that. So what I'm gonna do right now is put a little bit more moss right there and try to fill this space because I think the shot looks more balanced like that. So now the fun part. I'm gonna lit up the orange light so you can see its effect in real time. And this is pretty interesting. So look how suddenly the shot completely changed. Look, if I put the light a little bit higher in the shot, it's gonna start to lit the moss on top of the frame, and I don't like that because I want the attention to be right in the middle of the frame behind the subject. And after that, I was kind of pleased with what I have in terms of lighting, but I placed one more light to lit the top part of the frame, which kind of create or mimic the sun rays coming from the top and also help the mushroom separate a little bit more from the background. Hey, look at that. There's a tiny slug right on the mushroom right here. I'm gonna take a photo right away and try to get this one. Just like that, I think the slug's gonna disappear underneath the cap of the mushroom. So I think I managed to take one shot at least with the slug in it. So you can see how simple lighting tricks like that can really change the mood of an image. So here I'm gonna take 3 different stacks, one at f8, one at f4, and one at f2.8. Probably at f8, it's gonna be like 20 to 30 shots. At f4, it's probably gonna be 50 shots. At f2.8, it's gonna be well over 70 shots because the shallower your depth of field, the more shots you need, to cover the subject. And at f8, we're gonna have a larger depth of field, so we need less shot. So let me know in the comment which one you prefer and why. If I manage to take the photo of this slug on the mushroom, you're gonna see it. Sometimes the best shots are the one you never planned for. Moments like this remind me that creativity often hides in the unexpected. I'll be comparing all 3 images with different apertures at the end of the video to see how the background and mood really change. Then I found another mushroom. This one was on the dry side, but the texture underneath almost looked like a Cinderella dress. Soft, folded, and full of details. So I started by adding some lighting just to see where it could go, but it took some work. So I have to say I've been struggling a little bit with this one. I first tried dropping some little water drops with my syringe all around the subject, trying to make some interesting highlights. Didn't work. Then I tried putting little pieces of foil all around the subject. Didn't work. And finally, I grabbed a big piece of foil and put it further away in the background to fill up the top of the frame and make sure it is bent towards the subject, making sure it don't catch the ambient lighting. And when I use this light, I think it's doing something pretty interesting. All right, so that's without the orange light. And when I start increasing the intensity, create some interesting highlights. All right, so for this one, I'm gonna focus tag the image and I'm gonna take 2 different stacks, one at f4 and another one at f8. I think the one at f4 look better because the highlights are a little bit bigger and blend more in the background. I wanna try f8 just to see the difference. Let me know in the comment which one you prefer and why. We don't usually think about objects like steel wool, foil, or pieces of moss as being part of a photograph. Most people wouldn't look twice at them. But with the right light and the right distance, they can help turn something small into something beautiful. I think what surrounds the subject matters just as much as the subject itself. And with a little more attention, even the background can tell a story. Today wasn't perfect. I had to adjust, restart, rethink, but that's the whole point. And for me, that's where all the fun lies. And if I learned something today, it's probably that what really matters is not always the point of focus. Sometimes you just have to look what's beyond the obvious and keep moving.